Hey, what's going on, guys? It's SideQuest64 here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Messenger. Would you look at that? Check it out, guys. Now, this is a great game.
I've made up my mind to stay with you. Whether this is real or a bad dream, I'll keep watching until it's real. Ready?
So, yeah, I know in the beginning of the video, we were talking about the Messenger. I did pick that up. It's funny. I'm going to get to the story behind that. It's always story time on this channel. I went to go pick this up on Friday. It dropped on the 21st. On Thursday, I had gone to finish paying off my pre-order, and the guy that was working there was like, "Hey, Xenoblade Chronicles just came out. Are you sure you don't want to pick it up?" And I was like, "Nah." And you're probably thinking, "Side quest, this is a really long game." And you said in your last video that it drives you crazy how long games can be these days. So why would you pick up Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition? And to that I say, you're right. This is a long game. I know I'm getting into a long game. It's a commitment. But let me explain myself here. Let me put a little bit more context in the video, in last week's video, that maybe some people misunderstood or I didn't explain myself enough. I'm perfectly fine with long games. I just don't see them through to the end. Now, there's a difference between a good or a great long game and a okay mediocre long game, right? There's a huge difference between that. So a great good game, I'll see it through to the end as long as there's no party switches, there's no fucking excessive grinding. The difficulty means more grinding, and what was it? The fucking compass, the sense of direction. Yeah, that's kind of it. So let's get in. Let's get into the meat. Let's get into the meat of Xenoblade Chronicles X. So off the bat, this is. I guess I wouldn't say this is my first Xenoblade game because it's not. I played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on the new Nintendo 3DS when it had came out, and I remember enjoying it. I remember getting pretty far in the game. I don't remember if I finished it, but there's one thing that I do remember. About the game, particularly like about it, was that I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the world, I enjoyed the only thing that I do remember was that the gameplay or like the combat mechanics was like a little tricky and I couldn't really wrap my head around that. I always remember Shulk saying backslash. Um which that's actually two of the things. One of the things that's been stuck in my head for a very long time was this is the power of the Monado and backslash. I'll post a thing on it. Of course, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. It's like, well, what is it? Where does this lie in the series? Because I know there's one, two, and three, and maybe another one that I'm not aware of. But where does X fall in? Is it 10? Is it Xenoblade Chronicles 10? Is that what the X stands for? No, not what it stands for. Okay. Overall, I have to say I've been enjoying it. I've been watching people enjoy it. I've been enjoying watching people enjoy it, and that's ultimately what pushed me to make the purchase. Because as I said, on the 21st on Friday, I went to go pick the messenger up, and of course this is a sealed copy because I have it digitally, and I'm never gonna open this. And when I went on Saturday or Sunday, I went with the intent of purchasing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and my mind was already made up. I had been watching some people play it and talk about it. My YouTube feed has just been filled with Xenoblade X, Xenoblade X, Xenoblade X, Xenoblade X. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick it up. I don't care how long the game is. I don't care if I don't like it. I don't care. I have to see it for myself. And at this point, I have maybe like a good 15 hours in on the game, and I have to say I've enjoyed it a lot. It's definitely worth the $60 price point. And I could see how coming from the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch, how people have responded to it, how people have been wanting this. Again, it's like with Suikoden. It's doing well, and there's reason behind that. The characters are great. I mean, I enjoy the characters. I mean, you guys kind of know how I am with like anime stuff, and the whole anime thing's kind of it can be overpowering sometimes, but I think for the most part I've been enjoying the characters and their anime physique. They definitely have different like a style compared to like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I have a memory of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, but I went back to look at Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3, and it was pretty obvious that they're definitely doing different things when it comes to each entry. It's not following like a mainline aesthetic. Like, this is what a Xenoblade game is supposed to look like. I guess they can look different across each entry, but for the most part, I think the story and the world is what plays into like that ties into the series, that ties the series together. The characters are funny. I mean, when you're out in the field and you're fighting like these big ass monsters, it's like
Nailed it! Break out those guns!
Side slash!
Rising
Hey,
thrust!
Colonel, want to go shopping when we get back? Sure. I hear Mall Cruise is having a sale.
I mean, granted, they look kind of dumb sometimes. Like, that's the thing with aliens, is like it's real hit or miss. Like, do they look like what we would think aliens look like, or do they look like aliens that we have no idea what they look like? And that's always interesting because sometimes I think, the alien designs can be stupid. For example, and another example. But then again, I've never been to an alien planet, so it's kind of hard to say, what an alien would look like. I mean, would it really look like that? But besides the point, the combat's fun. Actually been enjoying grinding, which is a new one for me because the game can be kind of grindy. I got to some point in the game where you have the freedom to do like affinity quests or affinity missions, and then like missions for civilians and missions for like your actual like group that you join in. And then the main story mission is locked. I mean, I don't think it's locked, but it definitely gives you like a recommended level, which I think is like level 15, and I'm like level 12. So I do want to spend some time getting those three levels so that I can enjoy the next main story quest. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I mean, there's always going to be a thing, right? The game's good. I like it. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I don't care if it's an 80-hour or 100-hour game. I'm gonna take my time with it. I've conditioned myself. I've talked to myself. Said, you know what? This is a pretty big game. I've got a lot of games to play, but I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna take my time with it. I'm not in any rush to finish it. I'm not even gonna stress about finishing it. Right? I would like to finish it, but we'll see. Here's the thing. It is an open world game, and off the bat, personally, I don't like open world games. And I guess I could make a separate video on this, but one of the issues that I have with open world games is running to point A or running to point B, and then picking up an item and then running all the way back to point A, and then getting to point A, and then they're like, all right, well, now we got to go a little further than point B, and we'll call that point C. And then you got to run all the way to point C, and then you got to run all the way back to point A. And it's the constant running back and forth that really tire me out. It's a different experience. The fighting, it's fun, it's great. The characters, I love them, but running back and forth is something that I'm not particularly fond of. And that's to say, this actually isn't an issue with Xenoblade Chronicles X. I've actually enjoyed my time running back and forth. You might be thinking, side quest, why don't you just use the fast travel function? Sure, I mean, you could use the fast travel function, but at that point, it's, I'm going to be fast traveling all the time. It's like Skyrim. I got to a certain point in Skyrim and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then like you get the fast travel and stuff, and you have to get to the location first in order to fast travel and do all of that. And that's fine. Ultimately, like that is a part of the gameplay loop, but I don't see the appeal of that, because when I've played open world games. For example, Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5, I know that's an old game. It really is an old game. But it was like, I didn't enjoy it as much. I was super excited for Metal Gear Solid 5, but I didn't enjoy it as much because it's like, you got this big open world, and then the only time you're getting into engagements is when you're running through checkpoints. And the checkpoints, let's be honest, dude, it's a breeze. It's easy. There's just like four dudes, and it's always the same dude, to the point that I started intentionally letting them alert, like call in the backup, right? And then so that they could come, and then I could have somewhat of a bigger challenge. And it wasn't even just getting across, because you could completely go around the outpost if you'd like, some of them. But it was more about the challenge. I want to experience the fight. I want to see what I'm up against. And really, only some of the main missions, which was all I really cared for, when you're infiltrating bases or designated outpost and you're rescuing prisoners or something. Then that's when you're faced with a challenge, because it's in such a closed space that you have to be careful and aware of your surroundings. Of course, that's an example, and maybe not the best one when it's compared to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. But I've actually been enjoying Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and you could say I believe it is an open world game. If you see that mountain over there and you want to go to that mountain, you can go to that mountain. And so technically, I would classify it as an open world game experience. But there's one thing that bothers me. It's the lack of people, the lack of blade warriors. What are they? What are they called? Soldiers, blade personnel. It'd be cool to be like running through an area, and then like you see a fight going on over there, and it's like, oh, let's go check that out. And then you go, and it's like a group of NPCs, blade NPCs, fighting some tyrant or something. That would be really cool. That would make a lot of sense, because at this point, I feel like I'm just the only one running around doing things. I haven't seen that, so if I'm wrong about that, let me know. But as far as I've been playing, I haven't seen anything like that. I've seen like outposts where people are chilling, they're working on trucks or cars or the probe satellites and stuff. I've seen that, but I haven't seen any other group of blade mercenaries. I don't even know what to call them, fighting something. So that is a little disappointing, because, of course, I don't want to feel like I'm alone in this big open world when I know that there's this huge effort being put to colonize the planet. And that's another thing. The colonization of the planet, I mean, it's pretty fucked up if you think about it, because they're like, all right, bro. Here's the get down. We're new to this planet. There's a bunch of crazy shit running around out there, and there's no simple way to put this. We're gonna need you to run around and get rid of all these things, because it's gonna endanger our lives. I don't know, man. Doesn't that seem kind of fucked up? I mean, we're the ones who landed here, and they've been here for God knows how long. I just think it's wrong that we run around pretty much exterminating another species of alien planet, whatever the fuck you want to call it, just because we feel threatened by it, even though we're the ones that landed on their planet. Yeah, you make a pretty good point on that. But I mean, what's the point of having all these guns and swords and shit if we don't have anything to kill? I mean, at some point we're gonna come across another natural enemy, and maybe we could take it out on them. But for the time being, we got to make sure that we're okay and that we survive, and not the other way around. And plus, you can't tell me that shooting giant monsters with overly excessively big guns isn't fun.
Fire!
Got it!
Right
Shadow
on
power!
flank.
Grenade!
See that? Use melee attacks! Furious blast!
Smart!
Magnum
Side
attack!
slash!
Got him! Move in and attack!
Off balance!
Getting woozy.
Overall, I'm enjoying the game. I love it. I can see why everybody loves it. I can see why everybody's been enjoying the game. I can see why Nintendo would push this out. Monolith Soft, man. I mean, congrats, kudos to them, dude. These guys are really knocking it out of the park, and I feel as of late, a lot of Asian countries, especially like Japan, dude, like they're always on top of the games. The quality of games coming out in the US hasn't been as good for a while, and I think it's really good to play something like this. It's refreshing. And honestly, dude, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. The everything that I despise about JRPGs, this game has convinced me. This is a game that I can sit down and genuinely play through. I stayed up last night till 2 a.m. playing it. The night before, I stayed up all night playing it, and really, it really is something. Now, before I end the video there, of course, I have to talk about this. My girlfriend has been watching me enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and I, of course, as she's watching me play, I'm talking about like, I wish I had this a little bit more. I wish the story was a little more mainlined because that's what I'm used to. That's what I like. Those are the kind of games that I like to play. Obviously, it's still not a bad game. It's a great game, but I do enjoy the how would you say it? Like, there's a word for it. Not open world, more so like a continuous story progression, like your objectives, you know where you're gonna be going. The linear progression system, I guess I like linear stories, right? I enjoy linear stories. So as a gift, she did go and pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition. And I'm super excited to play this again because the last time I played this, I don't know, I was like maybe 18. When did it come out? When did it come out on the new 3DS? I was whatever age it came out on the new Nintendo 3DS. And I actually bought a new Nintendo 3DS to play this game. So I am going to be taking my time with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and I am going to be dumping stupid amounts of hours into this game here, and maybe I'll get around to making a video on it because I think it's time to talk about these games again. I'm always gonna play our JRPGs. Some of them I'm gonna enjoy more than others, and let's be real, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I'm fucking addicted to it. So let me know in the comments if I said anything stupid or wrong in this video, and let me know how you've been enjoying it. Also, there's a there's a huge chance that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct sometime this week before the 2nd of April, which is the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2. So leave your comments, man. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I'm probably going to make a video on it. I don't know. That's kind of not like the channel. I'm not doing like reaction, like, oh, um, but it'd be cool. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see how the rest of this week plays off, and let's see how our April starts off. And fingers crossed that we get the Nintendo Switch 2 much sooner than we were expecting. This is SideQuest 64. Enjoy the rest of your day, and let me know what level and how many hours do you have on Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition.